think I've ever seen that.
SharkBot is a top Protoss bot known for his chatty nature, but also has some of the craziest Warp Prism micro in all of ProBots. I'm talking pickups, snipes, drops, and even his mining is nuts. So SharkNice is the creator, and he walked me through his code to show me how he pulls this off.
One of the basic things you can do with a Warp Prism is just kind of like support your army and like juggle units. So Warp Prism has 5 pickup range, which the other like dropships and stuff, you have to be basically right underneath. So that's kind of the main thing with the Warp Prism, why it's so fun to micro with. But it does have a 1-second unload cooldown. Like everything in StarCraft has like a 1-second unload cooldown, so you can't be like insanely fast with it.
But
there are limitations to it.
The range gives you a lot of options, though.
Right. My Warp Prisms will do kind of like a general support thing where they juggle the army around and kind of want to just go over what that entails. So I have this like support army function for the Warp Prism. Kind of the goal when it's in this mode is to just stay behind units and pick up the ones with low shields that are in front and then drop them in the back. So there's kind of a lot of code that goes into being able to do all that. It sounds simple, but it's really not. So basically my Prism will figure out like the specific unit that it wants to stay behind, and then it will find the middle one of that and then kind of stay the correct distance behind it. From that line of or clump of units nearby, it will look at the one with like the lowest shields or whatever and then kind of mark that as a spot, pick it up and then drop it off. Calculating that front line is pretty difficult.
So many
what if
situations.
You're
yeah, so many situations.
Yep. What if you're surrounded? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is the safe zone and stuff like that? It's finding all the friendly units in range, and then it's finding the front half of the units, and then it's finding the back half of the units, and then it's calculating like the average health if one's below the average health or whatever.
Including the shields, or
yep,
is it just
including the shields?
Okay, cool.
It'll pick up the front one if it's getting low and drop it off in the back. And that's basically kind of how the juggling works when it's supporting like a group of units. If there's like no enemies attacking it really, and there's the warp gates are ready, it'll switch to warp mode. So then you can warp in more units for reinforcements. And it also tries to like avoid deceleration, because if you stop the warp prism, it has to accelerate to start moving again. So like Ketrox Banshees, how they never stop moving. That's basically all air units in StarCraft 2. And that's kind of like the basic. Avoid deceleration.
It's just to keep it just keeps moving, right? It just keeps it moving just a little bit, so it's just constantly in motion.
Right, because there's like a specific spot it wants to be, but if it's too close to that, it'll just kind of circle around. But I guess the part that makes my bot unique is the other kind of warp prism usage it does. It basically will have a warp prism that's dedicated to specific units, and then it has a dedicated role too. So like I'll have different roles for my warp prism, so it'll either be doing like a worker harass, or it'll just be general attacking, or it'll be like attacking with the main army. And that's kind of where this code comes into play. It'll share kind of some of the same code. So like if it's a support one, it'll basically just support the main army and kind of go by the main army and do its dropping there with those specific units. And if it's like mineral harassing, it tries to find a mineral line. The warp prism will fly over there, drop its units over there, and then do the same kind of support micro that I talked about before. There's also some stuff where I have it just like attack the main base and basically kind of keep the enemy occupied in its main base.
I presume these triggers happen based on certain criteria, in-game criteria.
So like I'll have different builds where they'll use this different thing.
Got
and then there's also different criteria within those builds where like it'll be like, nah, they're building Vikings, don't bother trying to do this.
Right.
Or, they're going like a whole bunch of roaches or something, keep them occupied in their base, stuff like that. So basically this one is for specific groups of units. One group is I'll do 4 stalkers, and that's kind of like the other micro that you've already seen. And then another one, it's specifically for High Templars. It has code for like every single kind of Protoss unit that can be picked up. So like when it has a High Templar in it, it will look at like storm targets nearby, and it'll find like clumps of units and try to drop the High Templar off so that it's at the, max distance away to get the perfect storm off. And then it'll also, do that for feedback too.
If it picks up a High Templar.
So basically, this is like get best stormer. So it's like any High Templar that has at least 75 energy.
That makes sense.
If there aren't any, or if there isn't like a good storm target, it will try the next thing, which is feedback. So if it has a High Templar with, I think it's 50 energy for feedback, it will
get best
feedback target.
Best feedback.
Yep. Yeah. So then it gets the ideal High Templar for that, and then it gets the like best target for that, which is usually like Infestor.
Cool. I like that.
Or depends what it's up against.
Do you assign like points to like get best feedback target? Do you weight them like the targets?
So I have like a list of specific units that I have ordered. Only like a couple units are ordered like that. I don't order like every single.
No, but obviously
target.
there's certain targets that are better than others. killers, so that's why I presume
Yeah.
you just narrow it down to.
Infestors are like number one type
Yeah.
thing, and then Viper's like number two target. And then after that, it doesn't really have any like specific unit, but it'll calculate like how much energy do they have, how much health do they have, like can it just one hit kill them with a feedback?
Okay.
That's like a higher priority. That'll be like higher up on the list if it can do that. And also like how far away is it? Like, can I just do it right now? Or is it like probably gonna be too far away and get away and stuff like that? There's a lot of edge cases to it. Another thing is once units are in the prism, the API doesn't like tell you anything about them. As they get more energy, it doesn't tell you that. It doesn't tell you their like how much more shields they get. So I have to calculate that all out myself.
Really? Oh my god.
Yep. And it doesn't calculate their weapon cooldown either. So like when I'm dropping stalkers, I pick a stalker that the weapon is ready. Otherwise I'm not going to drop it if the weapon isn't ready. So like I'll pick the stalker that has the weapon cooldown ready and has like the most shield or whatever.
Man, that's a lot to calculate. Okay.
Yep. So you have to calculate all that yourself since it doesn't update it when it's in the warp prism. I mean, it kind of shows you in the UI, like it doesn't tell you the exact hit points, but you can see like the units like lighter or darker depending on how much health it has.
Yeah. And the API won't show you that though, I imagine.
The API doesn't show you anything with that.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's not hard to calculate. It's all doable. It's just more
You
work.
saying as a veteran, me as like a starter or early bot author, just thinking like, oh god, it sounds so brutal.
Yeah, so there's also like edge cases like I'll drop a stalker off if the warp prism is being threatened by like a queen or something. I'll drop a stalker off to force the queen back so that it can't get free shots out on the warp prism and stuff like that. Like with like Vikings and queens especially, it'll try to drop a stalker off or something that shoots air off and then keep the queen or Viking zoned out.
Now, if you like that, I want you to check out this next video on where SharkBot gets his build from. I'll see you over there.